A fine was issued after Wusu Dadida Jalloh, a member of the Sierra Leone People's Party and spokesman of the Office of the First Lady, Fatima Bio, made a statement on a sister online television on Monday, November 24, 2025. The PPRC stated that the SLPP was fined for the contravention of Section 39, subsection 1, paragraph D of the Political Parties Act number 12 of 2022. The press release also noted that the PPRC had previously warned the Sierra Leone People's Party against the contravention of the same section of the Act in a letter dated November 11th, 2025. So this morning, to discuss this move by the PPRC and the reaction of the Sierra Leone People's Party, we've been joined in the studios by Moses Mambu. He's the National Publicity Secretary of the ruling Sierra Leone People's Party. And we're expecting Olusogo Davis, the Executive Secretary of Political Parties Registration Commission, online this morning. But for now, we have Moses Mambu in the studio. Mr. Mambu, good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Yes. Let's start with the letter firstly that was written by the PPRC to the SLPP. What was the content of that letter?
Well, the content was simple. They said a member of the SLPP have breached certain sections within the acts of the PPRC. So as such, they are levying a fine against us of 150,000 new leons. So basically, that was the content of the letter that was sent to us regarding statements made at Liberty Television. So for us at the SLPP, we have received the letter. We received it in good faith. We are closely studying the letter that they sent to us. We have forwarded it to the legal team of the Sierra Leone People's Party. They are currently looking at it to advise the National Secretariat on respond to the letter. So anytime from now, the Sierra Leone People's Party will respond to the letter sent to us by PPRC regarding the fine. So we are closely working with PPRC. We're in constant communication with PPRC alongside our legal team. But for us this morning, so that's the official position of the SLPP. The SLPP will respond. And we are looking at all legal means or legal provisions available to us as a party, because we don't just react like that. We follow the law, we look at the law, look at the options available to us as a party, and then we'll be able to adequately respond to the letter which was sent to us by the PPRC.
But can you confirm whether the comments attributed to Wusu Dadida Jalloh on Liberty TV online, whether those comments were made in an official capacity for the SLPP or personally?
They were not. Those comments that were not made in an official capacity of representing the SLPP in any shape or form. The official spokesperson for SLPP is me. If the Secretariat, if anybody is going to the media to talk on behalf of the SLPP, has to have express clearance from the Secretariat, especially in my office. And that did not occur. What occurred was a state official, someone working for the state, when they had made a statement, and the party is held liable for those statements that was made by state officials. So there's a difference between the government of Sierra Leone, people working for the government of Sierra Leone, and who is to be held accountable for things they say, and that of the SLPP and its membership. So there are two different things. If you go back and look at the content of the flyer that was sent by Liberty, you will see where the young man who went there, where he came from, his position, his owing, and the topic they were there to discuss. And before this time, we have made it clear to the office of, to our Secretary General himself, went to the media, because on the 11th, we had an inter-party engagement with PPRC. After that engagement, the PPRC sent a warning letter to especially the two main political parties regarding what we say in public. So after that, the SLPP was the only political party who came out publicly to our Secretary General. He went to 98.1. He was at Unity Television, and he made it clear to both the media houses and our membership across the board that anybody that goes to the media to talk on and on behalf of the SLPP must have express clearance from the Secretariat of SLPP. And any media house who is inviting anybody in their stations, they should keep within the topic. If they don't, and bring in SLPP without having express clearance from the Secretariat, especially in my office, the Office of the National Publicity Secretary, the content of those statements will not be attributed to the SLPP.
Mambo, may I come in a bit? I mean, you're stating, the outcome of the meeting at PPRC, and happily enough, we had Lucien Momo the other day here, and he also speak to exactly what you're saying. Now, the fact that Dadida happens to be the spokesperson, for the First Lady, was this a failure from the party to had allow someone to go on TV and made such statement? Because you're saying now there are directives that people are supposed to follow, and it comes through your office. So was that a failure on the SLPP?
Well, let's establish two facts.
Go ahead.
We need to distinguish between the state functionaries and that of the political party operatives.
But if state functionaries are commenting or making statements as if they are coming from party structures, isn't that a concern?
So both the media house and the individual that made the statement or the office they are representing must be held accountable.
So you're saying that the media house should have reached out to you directly to inform you that, we have Dadida here speaking on a specific thing?
Yes, on behalf of the SLPP.
But let's say, for instance, let's be objective. Let's say, for instance, they thought it fit that, it has already been discussed internally before he comes on TV to talk about it.
That's what I'm telling you. Let's create a context.
Okay.
You are presenters. If you go to SLBC, without the knowledge of the management of AYV, and you sit on SLBC, start talking on behalf of AYV. Is the government of Salon going to come after the AYV or you? Especially when AYV puts out a disclaimer, a warning before that any member of AYV who goes to any other media house to talk on behalf of AYV without express clearance from the management of AYV, whatever they say, AYV will not be held accountable. We have made it clear, so even to our members.
But again,
and PPRC is aware of that, so we've made it clear.
Mambo,
and secondly,
please go ahead.
We are SLPP and we are the party in power, but there's a distinction between government of Salon and the SLPP and its operatives. Get that clear. The TV program that was held, there's a content, there's a topic, and they invited a guest from a particular office. In the context, he came from the office of the First Lady, which is an extension of the office of the presidency. He was not going there to speak as a PRO for SLPP from Northern Region. No! And the topic had nothing to do with SL, because every day I personally monitor the content of every media houses in this country to see what they are putting out.
So that means the SLPP rejects the characterization by the PPRC?
Of course, because, that was a misrepresentation of justice. It was a misdirection of justice in our estimation. The SLPP have followed up with action following the warning from PPRC. Our Secretary General went public and informed all our members, including media houses. So even the media house, as I'm sitting here now, whatever I'm saying represent the views of SLPP clearly. So if I say something contrary, the SLPP will be held accountable. But if someone comes here to AYV and sit here, start talking of about SLPP, the first question, because we have also sent a warning to media houses, should be your statement, does it represent the views of SLPP?
Mambo, it's pretty clear now based on what you're saying. And like I mentioned earlier on, we did have Lucien here who also explained entirely what you're saying. But what's the process like internally about, vetting people before they go on media platforms? Because let's look at this instance now where, we had Wusu Dadida, who happens to be the spokesperson for the First Lady, goes on air and said, certain things. And now it reflects back, to the SLPP. These are the concerns now.
Okay, so where first do you go? You go to SLPP for statement made from the office of the presidency, or you go, because I have told you that there's a difference between government architecture and that of the political party.
Let's go to now my question about vetting.
No, vetting, everybody that goes to talk on behalf of SLPP are vetted by my office. Anybody that goes to talk on behalf of SLPP.
But this one was a mistake.
We do not vet people who goes to talk on behalf of government. I don't vet. If you go to any media houses to speak on your individual behalf, you understand, as the best presenter for the year, to speak on anybody's behalf, and you go there, start talking about AYV, things happening at AYV, without having express permission of AYV. AYV already saw the content of your interview. It has nothing to do with anything relating to AYV. But then in the mid of your discussion, you bring in AYV. Are you going to hold AYV liable for that? No. If the content said Liberty TV is inviting the PRO, you understand, of SLPP for Northeast region, that would draw my attention first, number one. And then if you say, okay, the guest today is the PRO of the Northern region, he's coming here to speak on behalf of the activities of the First Lady, that SLPP will take responsibility. Immediately I see content like that without my notice and approval, I will stop it. But if you see a content spokesperson from the office of the First Lady coming to talk on behalf of the activities of the First Lady, what does that have to do with the SLPP? What does that has to do with my office? How can I intervene in a situation like that? That is state.
So quickly before Mathieu comes in, now does the SLPP intend to discipline Jalloh internally?
Well, discipline Jalloh internally means we have taken responsibility for the content of his statement, which we are not. We are not taking responsibility because the context of his media engagement does not fall within the mandate of the SLPP. He was there representing the state. He was there representing the state, not the SLPP. And the content of Section 38 of the spirit behind Section 38 of the PPRC Act does not presupposes statements made by state functionaries. Does not. That was not the spirit of the drafters of Section 38 of the PPRC Act. That was not. And PPRC also need to look at the intent of the statement. And let's move away a little bit from the fine of the PPRC. Let's talk about the content of even his statement. The things that were said were clearly defined by the young man. Clearly defined. When he used the word war, he went back and clarified what he meant. You understand? Clearly, again, at the same media. So PPRC need, because for you to perpetrate violence or talk that will ignite violence, you must understand the context in which the person was using certain public statements. You need to get those parameters. What was his intent? What was he trying to do? Was he trying, you understand, to ignite violence in the country? So you need to look. That was the spirit. And you also have what you call the greatest responsibility, people who bears the greatest responsibility in the context of the drafters of the law.
And in this case, should the First Lady's office bear that responsibility?
That lies within the purview of, not the SLPP, that lies within the purview of the PPRC. So what we are saying, even the content of the statement of the young man must have been looked at by PPRC internally before they come out with a fine.
Okay.
But coming out with a fine, finding the SLPP, how can the SLPP control what state functionaries are going to say?
Okay, Mambo,
what we have done clearly is to put out a notice informing all our members and informing the general public, informing all media houses and state institutions that anybody that goes to the media on behalf of SLPP without having an express clearance, the content of his statement cannot be attributed to the SLPP.
All right. Now, let's look at this. And this is not the first rhetoric coming from someone who is a member of the SLPP. I understand the clarity you're drawing between his function as a state employer and also his function as a party member of the SLPP. But Chief Kadiu Kakai also made statements as such, and the SLPP was quick
Yes.
to come out with a statement to disassociate themselves
Yes.
with the statement Chief Kadiu made.
Yes.
Have you done that in this case?
No.
To distance yourself from what Dadida said in the first place, even before replying to the letter of PPRC?
Because the contexts are different. Okay? The contexts are different. Kadiu's context, he was running. It was rumored that he was running to be the president, to be the flag bearer of SLPP. And he was a member of SLPP. So he was on a high gear. He was not a state functionary. So whatever he said can be directly attributed to the SLPP because he was moving around the country campaigning to be the flag bearer of SLPP. So that was clear. So all within the parameters and the context of every activities around him was surrounded by the SLPP. So in the case of Dadida, that is not the case. His activities and all chances surrounded the state institution, state functionary, especially the first office of the land. So you cannot attribute that Dadida did not go to Liberty TV representing the SLPP.
Is there a crack within the SLPP when it comes to communication? Because you've stated that PPRC on the 11th of November sent a warning, and rightly so, SLPP as a party has complied by saying media institutions, if you are inviting or calling on anyone to talk on SLPP issue, do it through the party's publicity secretary's office, and we can give the go-ahead. But if we have government employers who are also part of SLPP, who when being invited to talk on their employment or their duties in their employment, find the time to talk on SLPP issues. Isn't there a crack within the communication sector within the SLPP?
There is no crack within the SLPP communication. Every communication of SLPP comes from my office, and we have clearly communicated that to all our members. So whatever happens after that, both the media house and the individual and the institutions they are represented must be held accountable, not the SLPP. For us as SLPP, our communication is clear. When you're going to talk on behalf of, now I'm here, I'm the national spokesperson for SLPP. I'm speaking on behalf of SLPP. Whatever I say here can be attributed to the views of SLPP. So for us, we're a very responsible party who works with structures. We have communicated publicly, because we respect state institutions. We respect the PPRC. When they warned us, when they called us to a meeting, we reacted by those warning, by making sure we come out publicly to warn all our members, regarding their all chances, to warn media houses, because both the individuals and media houses also need to understand this. If you invite a guest and he starts going outside the topic that you invited the guest for, you must hold him to account to clarify, because your media house can also be held accountable for that, because we have made it clear. If you invite me here to speak on behalf of the office of the president and I start talking on behalf of the SLPP, you the presenter have the responsibility to immediately ask me to clarify. Are you, the topic you are talking on now, do you have the express authority to do it? If not, you change. You also have the responsibility to shape the conversation of individuals that comes to the media house. If you don't have it, you invited me here now to talk on PPRC. If I leave the fine PPRC have levied on the SLPP to start talking about state functionaries or ministries, departments and agencies, then that's a different conversation altogether.
So with regards to fine, do you believe that, the sanction or fine that has been, levied towards the SLPP, is it excessive or is it been unfair?
Well, this is the SLPP position. I've been giving my opinion. This is the SLPP position. We have received the letter, the fine letter from PPRC. We have it at the highest management level of the party. We have it. We have sent it to our legal people. They are looking at it and looking at the laws that PPRC used to levy those fines, look at the context and content of statements that were made, and then anytime from now, the SLPP is going to reply to the letter the PPRC sent to us regarding the fine. And when that letter from the SLPP goes out to the PPRC, I will be the first to communicate it to the media to know that this is the official SLPP response to the fine that have been levied on us by the PPRC.
Yes,
Mambo, you seem to...
Quickly, Marina, I want to ask him on that. Now, it's clear there would be two outcomes from that reply. I'm preempting. You can straighten me up if I'm missing the point. Is either the party will accept the fine, or the party will lodge an appeal with regard to that fine. Now, hypothetically, if the party is appealing, on what grounds will the party appeal? Are you appealing on procedural fineness, on misinterpretation of the wording? Because you've stated that he even defined what he meant by war. So that context, he defined what he meant. Would you be appealing on that ground, or are you looking at the proportionality of the sanction itself or of the fine? Because there are only going to be two outcomes: either you accept the fine or you appeal the fine.
The SLPP don't play mind games when it comes to legal matters. We attack the merits of the matter that comes before us. And the SLPP is a structural organization that have various branches that do effective work. What we have done with the letter, as I said, is to send it over to the legal team of the SLPP. Because if a fine is levied on the party, on any institution, you must first consult the legal department of that institution to see the legality of that fine. Does it meet the threshold? Were we even supposed to be fined? You understand? Was the fine misplaced? All of those questions now that you're asking, our legal people are finding answers to it, looking at it, and looking at the PPRC Act itself, and looking at our own internal laws, our constitution, and looking at the national laws that govern fines of political parties. So all of those things are being looked at currently by our legal team. And as I said, any moment from now, the SLPP will be replying to the PPRC, whether on the two contexts that you have drawn, or using common sense methodologies to respond to the PPRC. That's exactly what we're going to do. You know why? Because we respect state institutions. The PPRC is a state institution of which we respect. They regulate the activities of political parties. We respect them for that. So that's why when they write to the SLPP, we accept it. We saw the letter, we take it in good faith. And now we are looking at it because we also, the law gave us options. What are we supposed to do when we are eating? So we are looking at all of those options available to us as a party, and we are going to reply to the PPRC.
Mambu, we're very much happy about the structures, within the political parties that is actually taking place now. But looking ahead, as we fast approach the election come 2028, do you think, some of these structures that have been put in place will limit the ability of campaign to be done freely, Because now that you're saying that before someone goes on air from the SLPP, it has to go through your directives, do you think that will actually limit the ability for a campaign to be done freely from party members as well?
No, it will not. The SLPP have structure. Even the PPRC, what they are saying, they are not saying don't go to the media or don't campaign. What the PPRC is saying, turn down the rhetoric and make sure your debates are guided on the principles of fairness and making sure the security of the state, the lives and properties of citizens are protected. Let us debate issues, right, and not threats. Those are the things they are saying. So what we're doing SLPP first is to shape the way we intervene, the way we engage publicly. People in the APC, they are our brothers, they are our sisters. We're all Sierra Leoneans. We only have differences in political ideology. Fair enough. That doesn't mean we cannot debate healthily, because what the APC wants is the same thing SLPP wants, which is to rule Sierra Leone and to continue moving the country. So for us as a party, we are shaping up our membership, our base, to let them understand that we are not saying don't go out to campaign for the SLPP. No, we have a lot of debaters. Structures are being put in place. Wait and see. You will see day in, day out, debaters out there.
Mambo, I did ask that question simply because, some observers or political party members, from your wing, maybe actually concerned about, going about speaking freely with regards campaigning and stuff like that. With a fine like that, trust me, one will be very, scared, to talk about certain things.
First of all, generally, it's clear that the spirit behind what PPRC is doing is clear. It's to make sure we have a healthy debate on issues and not fight. Remember, Sierra Leone have gone through 11 years senseless, brutal conflict, which ravaged this country. We have done remarkably well with our democracy over the years. We have had successive transitions from one political party to another without not much conflict. You understand? There have been skirmishes here and there. It's okay. It's understandable. Even developed countries, great democracies, have conflict when it comes to elections. But Sierra Leone, compared to other democracies in the sub-Saharan Africa context, have done remarkably well since the end of our war. Now, what we're trying to do is to consolidate those gains, the peace we're enjoying today, so that your quest for political power does not destabilize the peace of the country. Because mind you, we have 8.5 million people in Sierra Leone. Within every election cycle, it's about 2.5, 2.8 million that go to the poll, right? That's not even a quarter of the population. So you cannot use the desire and the quest of, let's say, roughly 3 million people, you understand, to disturb 6.5 million other people. So that's what they're saying. And we agree to that. We accept that. That's why we're saying, in as much as us political parties have the responsibility, it's important for PPRC to also engage media houses. PPRC also need to engage leaderships.
I just wanted to ask that question because
editors, presenters of radio stations, television stations, the new media, to engage them. Let them also understand
the regulations,
their responsibility of shaping up questions that they pose to presenters or halting guests right in the middle of programs when they use words that does not fall within the prescribed laws of our country. So both presenters, editors, station managers should also be engaged by PPRC. You understand? By the Peace Commission and other democratic institutions. Absolutely. They need to engage them so that if a guests are in your studio debating on issues, you must guide those discussions. If you see the discussion going one kind of way, it is your responsibility as a media house to halt it and then seek clarification, because your media house can also be held responsible. For example, in this case, Liberty, the first point of call should have been the Liberty. You understand? Because they were asking the question. They also had the responsibility to halt the young man and seek clarification clearly. If they don't do that, they can also be liable for aiding and abetting violence, for example. You understand? But you cannot come and levy fine on SLPP, of which the content of the program, you understand, the content of the program, the presenters and the guests had no relationship within that context.
Mamba, let me hold
with the SLPP at that moment.
Let me hold you there for a minute. I'm happy you did mention that, you know, the PPRC and other peace regulatory bodies, you know, should take up this responsibility of, you know, speaking to presenters or media houses per se. But also the political parties also have a huge responsibility in this. Now, does the SLPP intend or plan to engage civil society groups, media houses like you're doing at the moment, you know, or regulatory bodies, you know, to share all of these guidelines that you're highlighting here this morning? Does the SLPP as a party plan on doing that? Of
course. We are doing it already. As I said, because we have respect for PPRC and the warnings they gave us, immediately after the 11th, the SLPP went out. Our National Secretary General, Paran Umar Tarawale, was on 98.1, sending clear signals and warnings to both our members, our supporters, and the media houses. He made it clear that any media house who invites people to go to their media houses, that in those discussions have something to do with the SLPP and they do not have express clearance from the Secretariat, those discussions must be halted. Anything they say in those discussions, the SLPP cannot be held accountable. We made it clear. The recordings are there. I can send it to you for you to see. We've sent them. PPRC have them, that we came out as SLPP. Because we respect the PPRC and the warnings they have given to us, we acted upon it. We are the only political party who acted upon the warnings that PPRC gave us. We went public and talked to our membership, and we also spoke widely to media houses.
Yeah, but
you understand? If you want somebody to come here
just
to talk
2 weeks after that, there's now this concern from PPRC.
No relationship. This has no relationship with the SLPP.
Okay, so now let's
this has no relationship with the SLPP.
Let's now talk on the internal structure for this not to happen again, wherein you have people who are government employees and also commenting on issues of the SLPP. Now, I want to know whether the party have an internal code of conduct after that November 11th letter for spokesperson and other party operatives about public statements. Now, if there is that code of conduct, how far will the party go to implement one? Because now the reason why Marina is also asking this, we are yet to come to elections or campaigns when you yourself wouldn't be available to be on Liberty, AYV 98 or SLBC on the same day. Most of these your duties will be delegated to other members within your office to ensure that communications flow, and rightly so. Will not be able to get you all the time or get members of your team all the time. How would you ensure that the code of conduct you've adhered to within the party after that 11th November letter from PPRC will be adhered to going forward? Because just 2 weeks after that letter, this statement is being made. Save for the context. I understand the context.
So don't
but yet still the PPRC has fined the SLPP. Even though your context is that he didn't make it as an SLPP executive or he was not invited as an SLPP party stalwart whatsoever. But the PPRC is now fining the party. As that. It will now be on you to explain to the PPRC that he was not representing us. But how do we avoid this going forward to ensure that even if you are inviting Joe Boake from Kailan, he doesn't speak on SLPP issue because he doesn't represent SLPP?
So for us, we have the structure. Don't even bother yourself too much. The SLPP have a clear structure, and we have this executive. We are very disciplined. We have a clear structure. We have a clear pathway. The way we deal with our members, the way we deal with the public, and the way we communicate. I'm the head of communication for SLPP. All members within the communication wing of the SLPP, of whom are directly under my supervision, understand the code of ethics of SLPP when you go out, what to say and what not to say. Now, we also have disciplinary measures. We have the disciplinary committee of the SLPP. We bring in people for disciplinary actions, questioning, investigation. We have investigative mechanisms within the SLPP. We are a very, very, very serious political party. We don't joke when it comes to implementing our bylaws, our constitution, on members who flout those regulations. But for us, we're also very clear. The SLPP have 4.1 million supporters and sympathizers. My brother, even a heaven, one part God in disciple and Satan be betrayer, not so, and then Reb and Commodity. So you always have people, you understand, who flout those regulations. That is why we are also moving ahead to make sure areas that there is propensity for those regulations to be flouted are addressed. One, the media houses, because the media houses have responsibility. The media houses need to also help the political party to shape discussions. If someone is in your studio saying something that will trigger conflict in this country, you have the right to halt that program and ask him out, ask him him or her out, or ask him right on air to clarify. If not, your media house can also be held liable for aiding and abetting certain discussions in your media houses. So this is a collective responsibility that all of us as political parties, we have a huge following. We continue to do our best to make sure our following, when that warning came out, we photocopied those letters and send it to all our regional chairmen, district chairmen across the country to let them know that wherever they go representing the SLPP, their thoughts must be shaped.
And Dadida was also informed of that. He was in the known.
Their conversation, of course. If Dadida was there representing the views of SLPP, he knows the code. He knows what to do. He cannot do that.
So this again ties down to the control that we are talking about, you know.
No, he cannot do that. But as I said, there's a difference between state institution and that of the SLPP. We must distinguish the two.
If
someone goes out representing a state institution and bringing in that conversation, bringing the SLPP, how are you going to...
We know definitely that you cannot monitor entirely, you know, what's happening. But again, this is a call for concern because, you know, based on everything that you highlighted here, that, you know, there are structures, there are rules and regulations and stuff like that. But this is someone from the SLPP, mind you, as though...
This is no, please. If you start the debate there, then you also miss the context. Because you need to shape the context of which we are fined. This is someone who came from the office of the First Lady.
Agreed.
To speak on behalf of the office of the First Lady.
But then he then mentioned...
In the middle of the conversation, he brought in the SLPP. And he was not there to share the views of SLPP.
Mambu,
no.
the PPRC in...
So you first need to understand where is this conversation coming from. The context of why he was there. Because that's where... For example...
But
okay,
again, that's a show of deceit.
Okay, listen now.
You understand my point?
Okay, listen now. Let's take Lahai Mara that was fined by the APC, that was fined by PPRC, that APC was fined for. Lahai Mara is the district chairman for Falaba district for APC. When the tripartite committee went to Falaba, they wrote to the APC inviting them on public engagement around the tripartite. So you see where it's coming from. And then the APC assigned Lahai Mara to represent them in the tripartite public engagement. Lahai Mara altered those statements. So automatically, Lahai Mara was there representing APC.
But Mambo, again, I clearly understand. I clearly understand your point, but this is also a bad representation for the SLPP. As though you were trying to say that, you know, he was there from the office of the First Lady, and he was there to speak on behalf of, you know, the office of the First Lady. But for a renowned face like Musu Dadida, obviously, people may not look at it that, oh, you know, he was there to speak entirely.
What?
Why are you trying to differ from what I'm saying? He is also a part of a member of the SLPP.
I know. What I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, if you go out to represent AYV, the first name that I'm coming. The first name
even if I don't go out to represent AYV, but if I'm somewhere, definitely people will address me as Marina Terry from AYV.
Thank you. So when people see Dadida, the first thing they attribute to Dadida, you know what? The first attribute to Dadida, you know what they attribute to?
The spokesperson for the office of the First Lady.
So the law, you see the law cannot be misplaced. When you see Dadida publicly now,
but then again, it's the SLPP that is being
because of this issue that a lot of people knows the position Dadida is owing in the SLPP in the northern region. But when you see Dadida in public, the first thing that comes to mind, oh, now the First Lady and spokesperson that is, you see the law, right? They have intent. So the intention is, this is where it's coming from.
Which political party, if I may ask?
No, it's the SLPP that's in power. So can you say, out of our 4.1 million, let's say any Jack and Jill wake up in the morning, go to any radio and start talking as SLPP, you are going to find SLPP? How are you going to find SLPP? So the drafters of the law were very crafty to look at the intent, the intention, the context, the individuals, you understand, and what was said and where. So you clearly need to understand those contexts before you place a fine on a party like SLPP.
Let's look at the characterization from the PPRC in that letter to you. How does the party respond to the PPRC's characterization that the remarks made by Dadida were incendiary and inciting? Do you accept that label in that letter?
Well, that is a legal proclamation. You understand? That's a legal context they have seen. So any other political pundits or other legal people will look at those statements by Dadida itself. I'm not speaking now as a spokesperson for SLPP, but as an individual. If I look at those statements, the mentioning of war, Dadida clearly defined what he meant. Clearly. I can read it for you because I wrote it down. Each of the statements, I watched the video and I wrote it down. I wrote the text down. Okay? If you read those texts, the mentioning of war, he clearly was able to define it clearly to the understanding of everybody. You understand? He clearly defined it. So for me, that's a debate for another day. But for us, from now, as the spokesperson for the SLPP, I am saying we have received the letter from the PPRC. We expect the PPRC, we expect every state institution as a party who suffered for these state institutions to survive. We suffered for years, the SLPP, for these state institutions to survive. We expect them. We received the letter wholeheartedly. We are looking at our options as a political party, all the options available to us by law, we are currently looking at those options. And after our legal team completes those options and then we agree as a party that this is the option we can use, we are going to write to the PPRC and state our position clearly on the fine they levied on us. But as public commentators, we don't want the spirit of the drafters of those sections in the PPRC Act to be misplaced. We don't want that.
But someone will
so
say
as public,
the money is even small. SLPP is a little over $5,000. The SLPP is in power.
No,
by extension, when I get money, why not pay the fine?
It's not about the money. We don't want it to look as if PPRC, if state institution legitimately fine APC, for example, they must find every other little way to find the SLPP.
Is that what's happening here?
No, I said we don't want it.
Okay.
The public will not appreciate that. You understand? To look that way, say, oh no, because we'll find APC say no, that they target me. So okay, for law make an equal, law find SLPP back. No, you need to have legitimate reasons for finding. Like APC, they had legitimate reasons for finding them. They cannot even deny it. Because everything that happened started with the leadership of the APC to the person they assigned to represent them in that gathering. This is not the case. The SLPP is a political party, and we have government of Sierra Leone functioning.
Will there be disciplinary actions taken against Jalloh?
I'm much more concerned about that, to be honest.
He didn't make those statements as an SLPP executive or member. He went there on a different capacity. But now Pekin, any kind of way, you don't go cause problem. Will he be dealt with internally?
So first,
I'm much more concerned about that as well.
First, let us establish, you understand, the representation. We first need to establish the representation, the code of ethics, and the law, the act of the PPRC in dispensing justice based on the capacity of which he was at Liberty Television. Second, for the SLPP, as I said, when we come out with our response or our position on the letter sent to us by PPRC, all of other measures that we are going to take, whether it's going to be on Dadida, whether it's going to be on PPRC, we are going to state it down. And you will know, I will not sit here now and say, oh, this is the disciplinary measure we are going to take on the young man, or this is what we are going to, this is the action we are going to take on the PPRC, because we have not, our legal people have not concluded. What we are doing as a party is to give our initial reaction, which is what I'm doing. That we have received the letter in good faith. As a responsible political party, we have received the letter, we are looking at it, and we will use the channels available to us, the legal channels available to us, to reply positively to the PPRC so that we find a common ground. On the part of the party, the SLPP, we will continue to engage our membership. Let them know that they can be held liable for statements they make. We will continue, and I'm also using this platform to call other state institutions, to call on even the PPRC to engage media houses, because this should be a collective responsibility. There must be a way for PPRC to be holding, either through IMC or through other channels, to be holding media houses.
Unfortunately, we're still trying to get Olusegun Davies, who happens to be the Executive Secretary of the Political Parties Regulation Commission, online. But Mambu, as you were rightfully mentioning, does the SLPP intend to publish any internal memo or public statements clarifying all of this?
We have done that already.
Okay.
We are on record stating clearly our position, our communication mechanisms, our communication methods is clear. We've made it clear, and it was done by no less a person but the Secretary General of the party himself. He went out and laid it out clearly that anybody that's going out to represent the SLPP or to share views of the SLPP must have an express clearance from the Secretariat. If you don't have that, the SLPP will not take responsibility for whatever you say. You yourself and the media house must be held accountable for whatever you say. If you have express clearance from the SLPP, then whatever you say, SLPP will take responsibility. In this case, we don't. And that's what I tell my people. I have been engaging across this country, all SLPP PROs, all SLPP officials and members across the country, educating them about our responsibilities and the warning letter sent to us by PPRC. We have been doing that. So quickly, we will continue to do that.
Quickly before we join Olusegun, I'd want to ask, in your opinion, does the sanction help to strengthening democracy, or does it risk undermining democratic participation?
The work of the PPRC always helps to strengthen our democracy. We welcome the work of the PPRC. You understand? Because there is no football match where if you know the any football game where they play where if you know the na bloodbath. Okay. Not so. So the PPRC na the F na the political match. So we appreciate the work where they do. Okay. We appreciate it so much. That is why as a political party we are not challenging the PPRC.
We'll hold you there for a minute,
yes,
and let's have Olusegun Davis.
Is online.
Morning.
Yes, good morning.
Now, we still have Mambo here with us in the studio, but quickly, could you specify exactly what statement by Wusu Dadida Jalloh was deemed as inciting? Actually, what content triggered the fine for the SLPP under Section 39(1)(d)?
Okay, thank you very much. Of course, I'll actually just want to set the records very straight. On the 11th of November, the Commission met with the leadership of the APC and the SLPP to have a frantic conversations regarding how toxic the media space have been, owing to the inflammatory and incendiary messages being sent by the respective representatives of both parties. In that meeting, there was a frank conversation from the end of both leadership, alluding to the fact that the content of their messaging over the media space has not been very decent and ethical. And furtherance to that, they committed themselves that they would definitely tune down, if I'm paraphrasing the content of their words, they will actually downsize their tone, and they will ensure that any information that may lead to contravening interpretations, they will refrain from. Fast forward, the SLPP and the APC, following that meeting, signed an agreement that they will refrain from such acts as contained in Part 8, Section 39(1) to E to be specific. Now, following the agreement that was signed by the leadership of both parties, pursuant to Section 39(2)(a) of the Political Parties Act number 25 of 2022, a warning letter was issued to the leadership of the APC and the SLPP. Now, in an instance where there is an infringement as provided for in Section 39(2), after the issuance of a warning, then the B requires for a fine not less than 100,000 in new currency. Now, the SLPP was sent a letter containing fine from the PPRC in a tune of 150,000 euros, owing to the comment and owing to the citation of one of its members in the person of Wusu Dadida Jalloh on the Liberty Breakfast show that states that as SLPP, they are not in war with each other, but they are in war with the main opposition, APC. However, even though he further tried to clarify what he meant by the using of the phrase war, but these are connotations that can be misconstrued and can be misinterpreted by the membership of the party, especially when it's coming from their leader. Yes, Dadida Jalloh wasn't there to actually represent the party. He was there on that day to give an account, an explanation of the workings of the office of the First Lady. But he did not limit his conversation with the workings of the office of the First Lady. He now digressed to speak on issues of administration of the Sierra Leone People's Party. And making use of the word, we at the PPRC are not in war, we at the SLPP are not in war with ourselves, but we are in war with the main opposition, All People's Congress, presupposes that he is a member, and the act make it very clear. Section 39(1) states that its members, supporters, candidates, or operatives. So those are the words: members, supporters, candidates, and operatives. And there is no way the SLPP can divorce the relationship between Wussu Dadida Jalloh and the SLPP. Aside him being a member of the SLPP, he is also the regional publicity secretary of the SLPP in the northern region. Yes, for sure, he wasn't there to represent the party on that day. But whilst he was speaking on the issue he was invited for, he now digressed to speak on issues regarding the administration of the SLPP and making the use of the word war, irrespective the justification you will give along the line, as an inciting word. There are those citizens phobia. So the mentioning of the word war, that individual may not even be privileged to now continue to listen to the justification or the interpretation of the connotation of the word war. But at the mentioning of the word war, that individual may just tune off the radio or tune off the television. Further to that, he continued to say that as they are, the main opposition, APC, is their common enemy. How is the main opposition a common enemy? Yes, there are other adjectives or phrases that should have been used to state that, yes, they are a political rival. Yes, we are competing for the same political seats. But to use the word enemy, if you look at the conceptual meaning or interpretation of the word enemy, it presupposes that every member of the SLPP should now see the APC as enemies, and that is not the case. We are all Sierra Leoneans, irrespective of our political belief, irrespective of our perception, our political stand view, we are still Sierra Leoneans. And members of the APC must not regard the SLPP to be enemies, neither SLPP regards members of the APC to be enemies. So making use of the word war and enemies are in contravention of the provisions of Section 39(1).
Right.
And that's exactly why the Commission was left with no option than to institute the provision as contained in Section 39(2)(b), which requires ratifying the levy.
Right.
So that's just to create an understanding to the viewers and listeners, the context why the letter was actually sent to the SLPP.
All right, Mr. Davis, what's the PPRC's appeals process and timeline for this kind of sanction? Can the party lodge an administrative review, or can the party go to court?
Well, the act is very, very clear. If you look at Section 39(2)(3), it's actually 2(3) and 2, 39(2)(4) provides for political party in a circumstance when they think that they are agreeing with the decision of the Commission. It outlines the next line of action those parties can actually take. The PPRC is not above the law. The PPRC is a law-abiding institution governed by laws, governed by the Political Parties Act and the Constitution of Sierra Leone. So it's, in essence, the PPRC is subjected to law. So in a circumstance, political party hold a contrary view regarding the workings of the PPRC, the Act has actually made it very clear that they have another line of action that they can take. And it's contained in Section 39(2), 3, and 4.
And is the PPRC not doing this because they've also fined the APC? Is this based purely on the statement, or is it because APC was fined, so now SLPP is being fined?
We, as regulators, it is not our desire and our aspirations to actually go after those that we regulate. As regulators, we are parents, and it's our responsibility to tend to the affairs of our constituents, and in this instance, the political party. We are not pleasurable to just find political parties. But again, it behoves us as a national institution having the legislation instruments in the form of an act to equally protect the content and dictate of the act. And that's the reason why before the commission started to...
You have 1 minute remaining.
We actually met with the leadership of the respective political parties to have a conversation. And that's exactly the role of a regulator. You engage, you discuss, then you come to a resolution. But in an instance there is a variation of the provisions of the law, then definitely you have to act. And I want to make it abundantly clear that the commission did not find the SLPP on the pretext that we've actually fined the APC. We find the SLPP according to the wordings and citations that came from a member of the party on a TV show. So we are not under any influence from anyone. Neither are we under any pressure as insinuated by some members of the state. We are there as an institution to protect.
Yes, I think we've lost Olusogo Davis, the executive secretary from the Political Parties Regulation Commission, but we'll get him shortly. But Mambu, to respond to him, you've heard what he said. Yes. You can't divorce the relationship between Dadida's position at the First Lady's office and his position at the Salon People's Party, even though you'd want to create that distinction. But if
the distinction is naturally created, the SLPP did not create it. The intent of Section 39D of the PPRC Act have been misplaced or misdirected by law. It's clear from his statement, even though he was not there. So even though, when you use the word even though, if you are in a court of law, that can go for years, that debate. To first of all establish he's been in that studio. Do you understand? He's been in that studio. For us, what we want the public to understand is what I have made clear. We have received the letter from PPRC. We're looking at it. But also, after our engagement with the PPRC on the 11th, we are the only political party. Because when you are implementing law, just like when you get Pekin at house, the Pekin they do bad, then you wanna, you see and say it change. When it change, you don't say, okay, this Pekin get intention for respect me, right? So when we were warned on the 11th, after the meeting with PPRC, we came out. We are the only political party that came out publicly in adherence to the warnings of PPRC. We are the only political party that came out to admonish our members and admonish the public, including the media houses, to let them understand clearly that anybody that goes to the SLPP without express clearance from the Secretariat, we cannot own up to the content of their statement. We came out in public and made it clear. The SLPP came out to the public and made it very clear. We spoke to our membership publicly regarding their responsibility as members of the SLPP. We spoke to the media regarding their responsibility as media houses, because they also have responsibility, and the PPRC had that. They saw us doing that. So when you talk about intent, the intent of respecting the rules of PPRC, we went out publicly and we adhered. We admonished our membership. However, when state functionaries, people that work for the government, in their engagement, bringing the political party SLPP, your first point of call is where they are coming from. So your first point of call is where they are coming from.
So let me
not the organization. Listen, not the organization that they belong to.
So let
the
me
organization they belong to is one.
So the SLPP does not hold responsibility for a statement made by a senior member within the party,
as long as it's not sanctioned by the SLPP. We've made it clear. So meaning, if you go do something, say, oh no, you go do something, as long as that thing where you go do was not sanctioned by the SLPP, we know they take responsibility for her. You must be held accountable for that. You are on your own on those statements. We take responsibility if, for example, my office give an express clearance to someone to go to the media and then say something contrary to what he was supposed to say.
So now
the SLPP can be held liable.
So now you're saying, somehow, the Liberty online TV as well has the responsibility to play. But then again, after the meeting from the PPRC,
yes,
does the SLPP in any way inform, these media institutions about, those structures that were
we made it public? I'm telling you, see.
Because it's very much important as well. Let's not ignore that fact. Maybe they were not aware.
Okay, make us say this.
Let just put another.
Okay, make us say this.
They might not have been aware about it.
This.
Go ahead, please.
I am also saying it now, re-echoing the words of our Secretary General. After the 11th, our Secretary General was in the media. One of the widely listening media program is 98.1. We were there, and we shared those recordings across to all the media houses and the public, stating that we have engaged PPRC. We must tone down our rhetoric, what we say and how we say them, especially those that have the tendency to undermine the peace and security of the state. We are sending a warning to our members to be cautious. We are also talking to media houses that anybody that goes to your media house that was not sanctioned by the SLPP, you should be held accountable for the content of what they say. We are not. I cannot go at that point run into Liberty and say, oh no, this man is not coming from SLPP. No, Liberty must have the responsibility to caution the individual. Say, hey, this statement you are making, bringing in the SLPP, are you here representing the views of SLPP or that of the office you are coming from? The media house must take that responsibility to engage the guests in their radio program, because we have made it clear, our party have made it clear, we will not take responsibility for utterances made by our members of which there was not sanctioned by our party. So every member knows that. They understand that. So if a member goes to the media now, it behold that media house to shape the conversation, first of all.
So lastly, my question before Mattia comes in now, you're saying clearly here on national TV that he was not there in the capacity as an SLPP.
Not me saying that was how.
Okay, so let's say that was how it was presented. Yes. He was not there in the capacity to speak on behalf of the SLPP party, but so in the capacity to speak on behalf of the office of the First Lady. So my question now is, why is the SLPP paying the fine? Why is the office of the First Lady not responsible?
No,
for
don't
that?
Say why is SLPP paying the fine. Say why was
SLPP okay, fine?
So that's a question that you should have placed to PPRC. That's it.
But then again, I can actually channel that question.
No, I cannot answer that. That question must have been placed to PPRC.
But then again, it's the SLPP
let me tell
that was fine, not the office of the First Lady.
Okay,
so the fact that you're distinguishing...
So that was why I said Section 39D was misplaced. I said that. So that's why I said this is a perfect question to place to PPRC. PPRC need to answer that. Because in the spirit of Section 39D, the context of the statement, even though he said he made an attempt to even clarify what he meant, but the use of the word itself, you understand, contravened the act. So why was the office where he came from not fined, but the party of which he is a member?
But
he did try to clarify
the
that.
Act clearly states that members and supporters and a sector of political parties, not only executive members, and he is a member of the SLPP.
He's a member of this, and SLPP have made it clear. SLPP, listen.
No, it's not what you make clear. It's what the law provides for.
No,
he is a member of the People's Party, and his comment on the live show on Liberty was on the SLPP, not any other political party. But he is a member, a registered member, a recognized member, and he holds a position within the party, even though in that program he was not representing the party. But the law says if he is a member of the party.
We have the laws of Sierra Leone, and we have the laws of each political party, which go in addendum to that of the Constitution of Sierra Leone. The SLPP political party have made it clear to all our members. I want you to listen to this. We have put out a notice to all our members, including media houses, form the secretariat of our party, stating that the SLPP cannot be found liable.
No, that's what you say, but that's not what the law will do.
No, we have, listen, we have disassociated ourselves from any derogatory statement by any member of the SLPP. We have made it public. So if you are a member of the SLPP, you make a Diegoti statement publicly, the SLPP have already publicly disassociated themselves from you.
So why aren't any disciplinary action being taken against Jalloh now? Why are you still waiting before you send a letter to PPRC before you take action?
SLPP have already taken disciplinary action before this time. That's what I'm saying. We have put out a public notice as a party that any member who made the Diegoti statement outside that was not sanctioned by the party secretary, you are on your own. And the institution that also encourage those statements must be held accountable, and not the SLPP. So that is enough discipline. So I'm saying now to you, as at this moment, whatever was said at Liberty does not represent the views of SLPP. And at that moment, addressing our public notice to our member, he ceases to be a member of SLPP within that context immediately.
Okay.
So that was the disciplinary action. So now we are confused as to why, even after we adhered to the PPRC warning, we went public. The SLPP made a frantic effort, went public. We put out public notices. Our Secretary General went out. We engaged our members publicly. We engaged media houses publicly. Even after all those efforts,
will Dadida be expelled or suspended? Given that he overstepped his duty as a spokesperson from the office, so interfering with the communications of the SLPP.
No, that's where we need to start. You cannot leave that. If we're in the court of law, that's a very important component.
But from the SLPP now, will he be suspended or expelled?
As I have told you, from the point of the SLPP, the moment Dadida was making that statement, he was not a member of the SLPP.
So now
addressing our public notice that we put out.
He is still now a member, right?
No, he's a member of SLPP, but in the context of that moment he was making that statement, he was not a member of the SLPP. Owing to the fact that
the statement has been made. Will he still continue to be a member of the SLPP?
No, because in the context of that statement, he will continue to be a member of the SLPP outside the context of that statement. Within the context of that statement, to address our public notice that we put out as a political party, warning our members, the party already disassociated itself from any Diegoti statement by our membership that you are on your own. We made it clear. PPRC knows about this, that we made it clear. We came out publicly.
But will you punish him? For even though
we have nothing to punish for, because the statement itself, the SLPP have disassociated itself from it long ago by no less a person but our National Secretary General. The Secretariat came out. The Secretariat came out through the head of the Secretariat and admonished all media houses. We admonish all our members that if you go out after the warning from PPRC, the SLPP is putting out now this memo, and we did that any member that goes out to use the Diegoti statement in public, just know that you are on your own.
So won't party stalwarts, big guns, executive, use this at the behest of the SLPP to say, okay, for instance, now I'm representing this parastatal or this ministry. I am here to talk on this, but I'll use this opportunity to talk on this because even though they know that at the end of the day, the SLPP will say he is not representing us. Wouldn't this open the floodgate for others to also use this as an opportunity to say, okay, I'm here to represent, let's say, for instance, NATCOM, but let me talk on SLPP. So that's because the SLPP will protect me at the end of the day to say I'm not making this statement on their behalf.
So that's why the PPRC itself need to come in and engage state functionaries, because as I said, the SLPP is uniquely placed at this time. You know why? Because we are in governance, but then there is a difference between the governance structure and the party structure. But there are members in the government who are members of SLPP, of which their first disciplinary point of call should be the institutions they are representing. So this is where PPRC section 39.
So the first lady fire him.
So this is where I don't know.
Will you call on the first lady?
No, I don't know. That is the call of the PPRC, because the intent of the PPRC is to make sure we maintain decorum and sanity in the country. So any state institution, including political parties. So the first point of call in that sense should have been the institution that he was representing. That should be the first point of call, because we do not, as SLPP, do not have the power. When we don't have access to the content of what is going to be discussed, we don't have it, because the content was clear. It was put publicly. I saw it myself, that this person is coming to our program to speak on ABCD. In the middle of the program, that's why I said the media houses should also take responsibility. PPRC should also find a way to engage media houses, editors. You understand?
They've done so with AYV, I'm sure.
Good. They also need to engage other media houses. Because in the middle of those, imagine you invite someone for something else, and then in the middle of those conversations, it jumps to something else. You, the media house, must take immediate action right there to make sure you stop it. If you don't, you must also be held accountable. You understand? Because you cannot tie our hands as SLPP behind our back when I don't have, as the publicity secretary of the party, I have already seen the content of discussion. And in the middle of the discussion, you change the entire topic. Both you, the presenter, and the guest of that particular program must have some questions to answer. So PPRC need to do better so that they don't misplace the intent behind the written down of Section 39D. You don't need to miss the intent. Especially when you are dealing with a political party that is also governing the country. Which means we have people who are governing. People go to the media every day from the office of the president. If they go from the office of the president and bring in the SLPP, they are SLPP members. They move from the office of the president to go to the media and say the great statement. Are you going to find the SLPP? This is a question. Are you going to find the SLPP? Because someone from the office of the president went to the media in their statement, in their engagement from the office of the president, brought in SLPP. Immediately after that, you find SLPP when we don't even know the content of why he's going. No, the SLPP does not have power to say any state institution, anybody from the state that is going to represent any government institution must come first to SLPP so that we look at the content of what we are saying. No,
Mabu, I'm sorry, we do not have enough time, but I'm sure the SLPP will contend the letter.
No, that's not what. Listen, no,
or possibly pay the fine.
I am here in my capacity as a publicity secretary. This is what I want the public to get. This is the official statement from SLPP.
The SLPP will make an official statement.
We have received the letter from PPRC. We have sent it to our legal team of the SLPP. To discuss our possibilities on how we can respond to the letter. And when that is done, that is the official position of the SLPP as at this moment. When SLPP comes out with an official reply to the PPRC, I will be the first to come here and state it.
Thank you so much, Moses Mamdu, Publicity Secretary of the Sierra Leone People's Party. It's been quite an interesting conversation here this morning. And, we just hope that this particular issue will be addressed and, measures will be taken with regards, the statement that was made by Usu Dadida, who happens to be the spokesperson for the Office of the First Lady.